This is Audiobook Caboodle YouTube channel. Click on the subscribe button and listen unlimited audiobooks anytime, anywhere.
Lives of Two Cats by Pierre Loti. Translated by M.B. Richards. Section 1. I have often seen, with a questioning restlessness infinitely sad, the soul of animals meet mine from the depths of their eyes. The soul of a cat, the soul of a dog, the soul of a monkey, as pathetically for an instant as a human soul, revealing itself suddenly in a glance and seeking my own soul with tenderness, supplication, or terror. And I have felt perhaps more pity for these souls of animals than for those of my own brethren, because they are speechless, incapable of emerging from their semi-intelligence, above all, because they are more humble and despised. Section 2. The two cats whose histories I am about to write are associated in memory with comparatively happy years of my life, years scarce passed by the dates they bear, but years already seeming in the remote past, borne away by the frightfully accelerating speed of time, and which, placed beside the gray today, bear tints of early dawn or last rosy light of morning. So fast our days hasten to the twilight, so fast our fall to the night. Section 3. Pardon me that I call each of my cats Pussy. At first I had no idea of giving names to my pets. A cat was Pussy, a kitten Kitty, and surely no names could be more expressive and tender than these. I shall call the poor little personages of my story by the names they bore in their real lives, Pussy White and Pussy Gray, the latter often known as Pussy Chinese. Section 4. As the oldest, allow me first to present the Angora Pussy White. Her visiting card, by her desire, was thus inscribed: Madame Moumoute Blanche, Première Chat chez M. Pierre Loti. On a memorable evening nearly 12 years ago, I saw her for the first time. It was a winter's evening, on one of my returns home at the close of some Eastern campaign. I had been in the house but a few moments, and was warming myself before a blazing wood fire, seated between my mother and my Aunt Clara. Suddenly something appeared on the scene, bounding like a panther, and then rolling itself wildly on the hearth rug like a live snowball on its crimson ground. "Ah," said Aunt Clara, "you don't know her. I will introduce her. This is our new inmate, Pussy White. We thought we would have another cat, for a mouse had found our closet in the saloon below." The house had been catless for a long time, succeeding the mourning for a certain African cat that I had brought home from my first voyage and worshipped for 2 years, but who one fine morning, after a short illness, breathed out her little foreign soul, giving me her last conscious glance, and whom I had afterward buried beneath a tree in the garden. I lifted for a closer view the roll of fur which lay so white on the crimson mat. I held her carefully with both hands, in a position cats immediately comprehend, and say to themselves, "Here is a man who understands us. His caresses we can gratefully condescend to receive." The face of the new cat was very prepossessing. The young, brilliant eyes, the tip of a pink nose, and all else lost in a mass of silken Angora fur, white, warm, clean, exquisite to fondle and caress. Besides, she was marked nearly like her predecessor from Senegal, which fact probably decided the selection of my father and Aunt Clara, to the end that I might finally regard the two as one, in my somewhat fickle affections. Above the cat's ears, a capote-shaped spot, jet black in color, was set straight, forming a band over the bright eyes. Another and larger spot, shaped like a cape, lay over her shoulders. A plumy black tail, moving like a superb train or an animated fly brush, completed the costume. Her breast, belly, and paws were white as the down of a swan. Her total gave me the impression of a ball of animated fur, light, soft, and moved by some capricious hidden spring. After making my acquaintance, Pussy White left my arms to recommence her play, and in these first moments of arrival, inevitably melancholy, because they marked another epoch in my life, the new black and white cat obliged me to busy my thoughts with her, jumping on my knee to reiterate my welcome, or stretching herself with feigned weariness on the floor, that I might better admire the silken whiteness of her belly and neck. So she gamboled, the new cat, while my eyes rested with tender remembrances on the two dear faces which smiled on me, somewhat aged and framed in gray curls, upon the family portraits which preserved their expression and age in their frames upon the walls, upon the 1,000 objects seen in their accustomed places, upon the well-known furniture of this hereditary dwelling immovably fixed there, while my unquiet, restless, changing being had roamed over a changing world. And this is the persistent, distinct image of our Pussy White, with me still, long after her death. An embodied frolic in fur, snowy white, and bounding or rolling on the crimson rug between the somber black robes of my mother and Aunt Clara, in the evening of one of my great returns. Poor Pussy! During the first winter of her life she was usually the familiar demon, the hearthstone imp, who enlivened the loneliness of the blessed guardians of my home, my mother and Aunt Clara. While I sailed over distant seas when the house resumed its grand emptiness, in somber twilights and interminable December nights, she was their constant attendant, though often their tormentor, leaving upon their immaculate black gowns precisely alike tufts of her white fur. With reckless indiscretion she took forcible possession of a place on their laps, their work-table, or in the center of their work-baskets, tangling beyond rearrangement their skeins of wool, their reels of silk. Then they would say with great pretense of anger, meanwhile longing to laugh, "Oh, that cat, that bad cat, she will never learn how to behave herself. Get out, miss, get out!" Were there ever such actions as these? They busied themselves inventing methods for her amusement, even to keeping a jumping jack, a ludicrous wooden toy, for her special edification. She loved them cattishly, with indocility, but added thereto a touching constancy, for which alone her little incomplete and fantastic existence merits my lasting remembrance. In springtime, when the March sun began to brighten our courtyard, she experienced new and endless surprises in seeing, awake and crawling from his winter retreat, our tortoise Suleyma, her fellow resident and friend. During the beautiful month of May, she seemed seized by yearnings for space and freedom. Then she made excursions on the walls, the roof, through the lanes, in the neighboring gardens, and even nocturnal absences, which I should here state were unaccountable in the austere circle where fate had placed her. In summer she was languid as a creel. For entire days she lay lazily in the sunshine on the old wall top among the honeysuckles and roses, or, extended on the tiled walks, turned her white belly to the sun amidst the pots of red or golden cacti. Extremely careful of her little person, always neat, correct, aristocratic, even to the ends of her toes, she was haughtily disdainful of other cats, and conducted herself as if ill-bred if any neighbor cat called on her. In this courtyard, which she considered her own domain, she conceded no right of entry. If, above the adjoining garden wall, 2 ear-tips, a cat's nose rose timidly, or if something stirred in the vines or moss, she upsprang like a young fury, bristling angrily to the tip of her tail, impossible to restrain, quite beside herself. Cries in harsh tones and bad taste followed, struggles, blows, and savage clawings. In fact, our pet was ferociously independent. She was also extremely affectionate when so inclined, caressing, cajoling, uttering so gentle a cry of joy, a tremulous meow, every time she returned from one of her vagabond tramps in the vicinity. She was then 5 years old, and the mature beauty of an Angora, with superb attitudes of dignity and the graces of a queen. I had become much attached to her in the course of my absences and returns, considering her one of our home treasures, when there appeared on the scene 3,000 miles afar in the Gulf of Pekin, and of a far less distinguished family than the Angoras, the kitten destined to become her inseparable friend, the most unique little personage I have yet known, Pussy Gray, or Pussy Chinese. End of Part 1.
This was Audiobook Caboodle YouTube channel presentation. We hope you enjoyed listening. For full audiobook, check out our playlist section. Links in description below.